So hot here today. Guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Tymon and this is Slide Adrift, where I do sailing DIY stuff. I swapped the diesel out for an electric motor. That's probably the biggest thing I've done, and at the moment I'm just in a mad rush to try and get ready to sail to Fiji in a couple of months. There is a crack around the base of my rudder where it connects to the cockpit. Obviously worried about that to the point where now I'm like, I probably shouldn't even really sail at the moment. So I've been putting it off. I'm gonna have to address it. Okay, that's basically it. Let's just get into the video. Today, we learn, hopefully. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. Obviously the tiller here, and we've got this crack sort of running all the way around. I have a feeling I know why it's cracked, and I'll show you guys. Cue the time lapse of me taking all the stuff out of the locker. Now I am upside down inside the aft cockpit locker. This, I've got a feeling there's some marine ply in here, and that there has been some sort of ingress of water, and that is all going rotten and festering. What I want to do is probably drill a few little test holes in here and just see if I can determine what is the core and what state it's in, and then I've got a feeling I'm going to have to cut it out, replace it, and fiberglass over it again, but probably from inside the cockpit. Okay. Oh, it's quite roomy in here. If house prices keep going the way they're going in Australia, I could rent this space out, I reckon. Now that I've cleaned this locker up and made it a bit habitable, I'm going to start the drilling process. Okay, so that's the first hole now, and I can see it's like wet and gross. I don't know if you guys can pick that up, but yeah, it's wet and gross on the actual drill bit, so that confirms. There is a lot of water sort of oozing out of these holes. So the wood that's in there is obviously cactus. It's absolutely dead. It's making sounds when I walk on it. So this is roughly the outline of the wood, minus a little bit. I can sort of gouge that out once this is off. Yeah, it's slightly concerning that the wood stops there, but the crack is all around here. I don't know exactly how this whole rudder tiller setup works. I've got a feeling like the water probably comes up to the waterline somewhere, so that wouldn't make sense that the water's sort of getting up. I don't really know what's going on here. I don't really know what I'm doing either. It's either take it to someone that knows more than me and pay a lot of money, which I don't have, or just start cutting my boat apart and investigate. You can clearly see it is a cactus. I mean, you're not supposed to be able to rip marine ply by hand, right? So hot. I don't really know if I'm doing this the right way, but fiberglassing on the underside of anything is hard at the best of times, let alone inside the cockpit locker, so I thought this would be the better option. I'm not sure, I still think so, but yeah, either way, if I'm doing it wrong, you guys can either let me know or you can learn from my mistake. My plan of gouging out the last little bit of marine ply around the edge was working out way too slowly, so I had to recut the fiberglass where I should have cut it the first time. Hopefully I can find a bit of foam board, but yeah, so what I want to do is fill in all this, and then I'm going to have to grind out here and here, and then place these bits back in, fiberglass it all up, And then I'm gonna have to address this crack at the back here and grind that out and fiberglass it separately. But now it's time for bed. What I've got is this, it's called XPS foam. It's just from Bunnings. I'm pretty sure it's polystyrene. Because I'm using epoxy, it should be okay. If I was using vinyl ester polyester resin, I believe it'd probably melt this stuff. I measured out and cut the foam board to size. I then ended up using a planer to plane down my bit of foam board, so it ended up being the correct depth to fit in the hole perfectly without sitting proud. That worked surprisingly well with the vacuum cleaner attached. There's only the tiniest little bit of debris around, but yeah, I better get that up before that goes in the water. Yeah, now I am on to the suckiest, most sucky part of the job, grinding fiberglass. Damn. I was actually hoping this part would never come, but it has. Lucky me. I'm just not sure about what is actually going on with this rudder setup. Like, is there just like a solid bit of steel that goes all the way down, then bearing at the bottom, bearing at the top? I don't know. If someone knows what's exactly going on here to let me know, that'd be good. But yeah, so just to be safe, I've put heaps of thickened epoxy underneath there, and that's going to support it. I'm going to let that set, and then once it's done, I am going to grind away the back part of this, and then I'm going to fiberglass the whole thing in one. Whenever I need to use thickened epoxy that needs a little bit more structure, I use these microfibers. I don't know, apparently that is a lot more structural. I use that Cabasil, the silica little balls. I use that when I just want it to bulk out and need it lightweight. Okay, apologies for my laundry in the background, but that is just what's going on at the moment. So I've sanded this all down nice and flat. I've also sanded away this back part. I'm going to put everything in place, cut essentially all of my fiberglass out. There's going to be a lot of layers, especially like through here and through here. I'm going to install this down here, fill out all underneath here and all the holes and all these little holes with thickened epoxy, and then I'll go ahead and lay all my fiberglass out. I've cut all of my bits now and I've numbered them, aside from the few bits that is just going to go in between the fiberglass here. Follow from number 15 down, 15, 14, 13, and hopefully I can lay it out like like I've got planned up in my head, but yeah, we'll see. By far the best part. It's looking pretty good. It's a pity I can't keep this texture here because it's actually pretty good for non-skid. Okay, that is so much sanding, so much itchiness. I even vacuumed everything up, washed everything down with water, and had my niece and nephew and family on the boat yesterday evening, and everyone was scratching. I felt so bad. I'm looking forward to not being itchy anymore. Anyway, it's basically done. I used this as a straight edge to try and get this area here level, and then it sort of bevels up a little bit because I beefed up this area here, so I'm not too worried about this part here not being level, but I sort of want this area, this outside area, being as level as possible. I'm using this little bit of angle as a straight edge, and I've got this Interfill 2-part lightweight epoxy finishing fairing compound from International. I find it's really good. I'm not affiliated with anything Interfill 833 2-part. So I'll put some of that down, fair it out, and I'll probably have to do that at least 2 times, maybe even 3 times, and just get this all sort of nice and flat. I've also got the surfboard out. It's one of 4 that I've fixed because all had a ding of one sort or another. So I thought if I'm gonna get itchy and I've got all my fiberglass stuff out, might as well fix all my surfboards, especially because I'm going to Fiji soon. It's interesting to note that I had this list of stuff that I wanted to do before I went to Fiji, and I'm like ticking them off. I'm like, yes, that's done, that's done, that's done. Now I am ticking stuff off the list that I'm not gonna get done before Fiji. Not gonna get that done before Fiji, not gonna get that done, not gonna get that done. I am trying to organize a few jobs that I know that I could probably do whilst I'm in Fiji. I like doing DIY stuff. I like having things to do and to create and make things and figure things out. So, but yeah, it would be interesting to see if I can actually do some DIY jobs when I'm in Fiji. I really like this Interfill 833 fairing compound. It's so easy to sand that when you have to do multiple layers and multiple goes at it, it's really not a big deal. Just as the sun's setting, I won't be able to get it done today because I need to do some masking off, but when I pulled up the peel ply from when I was doing this fiberglassing, I'm not sure if it was also from the layers underneath, but it was quite grippy. So that made me think, why not use peel ply? Obviously peel ply, epoxy, rip it up and use that surface as non-skid for wherever you want on your boat. Quick interjection here, if some of you don't know what peel ply is a tightly woven cloth that you put on as the last layer on top of your fiberglass work when you wet it out with epoxy. Epoxy doesn't actually stick to it, so you can rip it up. One benefit of the peel ply is because of the tight weave, it leaves a finer, smoother surface, so when you're putting your fairing compound over the top, there's apparently less work for you to do. But yeah, like I said, it also leaves quite a grippy little surface. I can't find anyone that's done it, which usually means that it's a stupid idea. Possibly, but I'm willing to give it a go and find out and also let you guys know. I've got a backup plan if it doesn't go according to plan. So I've got the peel ply down now. Now I've cut it out to shape as well. Epoxy it all and then rip it up. Yeah, then I want to paint over the top of it. And then I want to feel if it's grippy enough. And if it is, great. And if it's not, then I am just going to, in the next few coats of paint, put a thick coat of paint down and then just throw sand on top of it and let that dry, and then vacuum up the leftover sand and then paint over the top of the sand again. And apparently that works pretty good. Well, that's all done now. I can see lots of, in the light, I can see lots of sort of like little undulations. I'm hoping it's just an illusion, otherwise it's gonna look really shit. I'm starting to get a little bit dubious. But I guess it's done now. I always miss something, you know? I never do fiberglassing perfect. My first fiberglassing job, if you guys have been following for this long, was out on the back of the transom where the exhaust was coming out from the old diesel engine. And I thought I got that really good. But once I painted it, it looked not super shit, but yeah, there's definitely room for improvement there. But yeah, this will be interesting to see how this goes. Okay, the weather has been absolutely shithouse for the last almost week. So I'm finally ready to rip this up. It's not gonna be pretty. This is gonna be a fail. Now put this away so I can reuse it one day. Just kidding. You can't reuse peel ply. That was a joke. Do not do that. You guys, it is actually really really grippy, but all those little undulations are definitely there. It'd be good to know exactly what I did wrong. Did I put too much epoxy on and maybe it seeped under and sort of like formed those little ridges? But I did sort of roll it out with the roller, and yeah, that didn't seem to help. So I don't know what's going on here, but initially it is definitely more grippy than what I've got up here. It's actually really quite grippy. The peel ply, as far as the grippiness is concerned, is a success up until now. Thank you, Australia, for having awesome beaches. I'm only running because my tender is not locked up. But I guess technically taking sand from the beach is probably illegal. Unless it's in your ass crack after a swim. That's one coat of paint. I'm about to do another one. I just feel like after 3 coats, it's definitely not going to be rough enough. Perhaps when it's dry, but when it gets wet, that's when you really know. And I feel like with 3 coats of paint, sort of filling in the gaps just a tiny little bit, and then once it gets wet, I just don't feel like that is going to be enough grip. And if it is enough grip, I don't feel like it's going to last the test of time. Like, I feel like that small amount of roughness is going to sort of smooth out with foot traffic and that sort of thing. So it's time to move on to option number 2. Good morning. Well, it's looking pretty good. I vacuumed it up last night, so I couldn't actually see exactly how it is, but yeah, it's pretty grippy too. Now I've got to put on 2 more coats of paint. And that is that. The grippiness, I mean, it's a lot grippier than up here. Okay, so I'm gonna say using peel ply as grip tape is a fail. Maybe if it had the coloring built in the epoxy where you didn't have to paint over the top of it, maybe it'd be a bit more grippy like that. But yeah, the sand clearly works, but the sand I've just put into the paint basically and painted over the top of it. I guess that should work. If you guys are going to copy what I've done, I mean, like in Australia, I only used a couple of handfuls of this sand. I watched one guy online and he bought bags and bags and bags and bags of it. I reckon a whole bucket like that could easily do my whole boat if I was going to do it that way, which I'm not. So yeah, as you guys can see, my cockpit floor has the consistency of walking, I imagine, across an elephant. But yeah, am I worried? Nope. Not everything works out, but yeah, onwards and upwards. That's basically it for this video. The next one is hopefully the Hydra Vane. Hydra Vane was supposed to be this video, but I have trouble with install. Hopefully that's up next. And a very warm welcome to my newest Patreon, Mr. Stuart Jones. Mate, welcome to the club, the flotilla, whatever you want to call it. Really happy to have you on board. Thank you so much. That's all from me. Okay, bye.